Welcome to Plant 4 in Goshen, Indiana, better known as the Keystone, Montana plant. I am Ian Baker, and I am joined by my good friend Sam Lingrich, and he is going to take us through the Montana plant today, show us how they're built from the ground up, as well as kind of take a peek under the hood and see a lot of things that you normally don't get to see.
Absolutely. I'm excited to have you here in our big partnership with Camping World. And, you know, there's a lot of things that happen here that people don't get to see. So we're really happy you're accommodating the customers and people that are really shopping. Because normally when a customer shops and they see us under the hood, we usually win. So we're going to talk about some of the things that we do different than most. We could spend hours in here, but let's really concentrate on those things. And
yeah, please.
One of the big thing is the foundation. When you were here over a year ago, we made a relationship with Dexter and we made a big jump on our axle upgrades.
Yep.
They developed an axle called the Gladiator axle for us. And what they did was they increased the axle, what they call the tube wall, by 50%, the thickness of that, because that's going to deter the actual unit from becoming uncambered, because it's a cambered axle.
Okay.
You'd be surprised how many people online say, my axle's bent, I see a bend in it. That's meant to be there.
Yeah.
So we want to keep that camber in there.
Yeah.
In conjunction with that thicker tube, we then increase the actual leaf springs.
Okay.
So, for example, a 7,000 pound axle would have like a set of 3,500 pound springs on it. We upgraded that to 4,000 springs.
Okay. Love it.
Standard with that axle comes the normal drum brakes, but always remember with the Legacy package, if you want to do that package, it goes to a full disc brake system, which most manufacturers don't even offer.
And Sam, what else comes in that package? You know, we get the disc brakes, you're going to get some upgrades inside as well as some of the construction as well. Can you hit on that real quick?
Yep, so in the Legacy package, you're going to get the disc brakes on the outside. Now, a lot of people say disc brakes, is that electric or is that hydraulic? It's electric over hydraulic. There's still a hydraulic pump that's on there that's activating those brakes.
Okay.
In conjunction with that on the outside, some floor plans are going to get a full rear fiberglass cap. Then you're going to get, on the inside, you get the in-command system. And what's so special about in-command is it's come a long ways, is our Global Connect. That's going to allow a customer, if they hook the entire system up globally, they can control their air conditioning, their water heater, anything that's not mechanical via their phone while they're actually coming to their campsite. Then once they get there, they unhook the safety feature of the actual 7-way plug. They can do all their mechanicals. They can put their slide outs out, awnings, everything through that app.
That's extremely convenient.
Yeah, so in-command's part of that. We've increased the Furion camera package. Before we had side cameras, rear camera with a 5-inch monitor. We've expanded that to a 7-inch monitor because it's just difficult to see that on a 5-inch monitor.
Yep.
And because of that Global Connect feature, we now install standard with Legacy, the WineGuard router package.
Okay.
So all Montanas are WineGuard router ready.
Excellent.
But we go ahead and install the router so that person can do that Global Connect and command their entire unit through that.
Love it. Love it. Everything's working together.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a lot of the Legacy package. And again, most people make that jump for that disc brake feature.
Sure.
Because they stop on a dime then. That's what they've really been wanting to do. In conjunction with not only the axle, about the undercarriage, over a year ago, we decided to add this little feature.
Okay.
A lot of people say it looks like a dog collar.
It kind of does.
This is your TST tire pressure monitoring system sensor.
Okay.
This is actually banded inside the rim, inside the wheel. They have a torque feature. They know exactly how to install it, and that's in all 4 of your wheels plus the spare.
Okay.
So that's going to do your tire pressure monitoring. It's going to monitor your heat, your pressure. Comes with a full display. We saw this was one of the #1 features that Montana owners were adding to their unit after they bought it.
Interesting.
So why not factory install it?
I love that.
And by doing it on the inside of the wheel, you don't have that chance of theft where you have the little screw-on caps. Those don't get as much sensoring because it's on the cap. This actually is inside the wheel across from the stem, and it's going to last the lifetime of the wheel. So the other important part is, I stressed to you it's on the spare. We found that a lot of customers were doing aftermarket kits, not putting on the spare wheel. Then when they needed that spare, it was flat. It had been there, it had rotted or something of that nature.
Yep.
So all 4 wheels plus the actual spare and your full display. That's all standard on all Montanas.
And I love that you kind of learned that through the owners group. It's one of the things I've always appreciated about Montana is how in touch with the owners they are and some of the things that you implement in future builds like this, a perfect example.
Yeah, and you and I have talked before. We have over 100,000 Montanas on the road.
Yep.
So we have our sins that we have to live with, and we try and make our product better through finding out about those. And this, again, was through customer feedback, was we need this as a standard feature, not only for the safety going down the road, but to prevent damage, because that's what damages a coach more than anything. That tire blows out, blows the fenders out, and then you just have an unhappy owner. So we're super excited about this. And TST, the reason we went with TST, if you look on all of the forums, you look out in the industry, they're the best known for tire pressure monitoring system.
Okay.
They own the big truck industry where it's super important on semis.
Interesting.
And so they brought all of their knowledge into the RV industry, and that's why we use them.
Makes sense.
So
love it.
This is kind of where we really start and talk about the foundation. We're going to go ahead and we're going to move down to the chassis, and we'll look at some of the other stuff.
Okay, let's go.
Here in the chassis area, and a couple things I want to stress here, because again, customers don't get to see this, right?
Exactly.
The walls are on, the floors are on. One of the things we do on all of our Montana tanks, this tank is rotocast. That means it's completely seamless. It means it's not going to leak. It doesn't have an opportunity to bust at the seams. But not only that, these little holes in the center, these are actually all the way through, because there's a cone that joins the bottom to the top, stops it from bowing, also acts as a water baffle. So when that water tries to slosh from left to right or front to back, it breaks it up and stops it from jerking the tank around.
Oh, I like that.
And just over a year ago, there's a lot of customers that were concerned. They've seen older comments, not only about Montanas, but just old RVs where the tank falls out, right?
We've all heard those horror stories.
Absolutely. So what we thought was, tanks are a challenge because they're usually an odd shape on the bottom. There's a little bit of a taper to the end. So all of the steel racks, it's hard to get them to fit. So we actually worked with a company. Every one of our tanks are actually strapped in.
Okay.
What that strap does is it'll conform to all those weird shapes at the bottom of your tank and completely lock it in. We have the steel bars, then we have the actual straps, and I'll tell you, I would guarantee that almost none of these tanks have ever fallen out with the combination of those two things. But again, that's listening to the customer saying, hey, we just want another safety feature where we don't have to worry about that tank dropping out.
Yep, yeah, I love it. Looks like you kind of have some supports here as well. Is that so it doesn't cut the band? Is that what you got there?
Absolutely. That's going to protect because you do have steel and you do have this, and there's probably going to be some road vibration. We take the time to put this plastic protective sleeve in there to stop these from actually wearing on that steel.
That's awesome.
Ian, we're in the cabinet shop, and a couple things that we really stress on Montana is how we build our cabinets. And in the industry, there's always good, better, and best.
Okay.
We figure good is like an MDF type of wood. Better is what they call lumber core, and the best wood to build your cabinets out is all hardwood.
For sure.
So in Montana, back in the day when you and I first met, we only built hardwood cabinets if you bought a legacy unit.
Yep.
About 2 years ago, we decided every Montana owner should have hardwood cabinets, so we made it standard. What's the main difference is obviously the term hardwood. Notice here, this is a completely finished hardwood style. There's absolutely no paper.
Yep.
If a customer were to scar or actually mar this, they can refinish it.
Okay.
This is what most brands that compete with the Montana is built out of. This is actually what they call lumber core, which means it has a veneer on both sides, and then it's wrapped in photographic paper.
Yep.
So when that tears, peels, you're done.
Yeah, it's shot.
Yep. The unfortunate part that some people don't realize is with real wood, you're going to get variation.
Okay.
With the photographic paper, everything looks absolutely identical.
Got it.
So when you go in and you have all the natural wood, there could be some difference in color slightly, just the grain. So people need to understand that the number one way that a person can test that on an actual unit is to reach back find this seam with their fingernails
kind of in
when
between.
they reach in a cabinet.
And honestly, Sam, I personally like having a little bit of variation. It gives it character. It makes it a little more unique.
It absolutely does. So we just want to make sure people understand this is what you would find. I know we're in the Montana plant, but this would be traditional construction. That's our Montana high country.
Okay.
But the best version is going to be our Montana version.
Love it.
So let's go ahead and head up to the wiring section.
Let's go.
So we're up in the area on the color-coded wiring. And the reason I wanted to bring you up here is because Keystone made a huge investment several years ago, and that was color-coded wiring. Mm-hmm. So say, for example, hypothetically, a black and red wire goes to a speaker on a Montana.
Yep.
It's going to go to a speaker on a Montana high country, a hideout, a cougar.
Across all lines, it's all the same color.
Absolutely. And what that does is, until the customer has a problem, they don't see value in it, right?
Right.
But most service shops are getting way beyond $100 an hour for just diagnostics.
Yep.
And this allows them, at any point, they can either get on our apps that we have for your service department, or they can get a printout. A customer can get a printout from Keystone, and it tells you what that color wire goes to. The investment was the biggest part, was because actually in the RV industry, we needed more colors than there were wires.
Oh.
So we had to wait. Most people had 2 colors of coax.
Sure, yeah.
We have some units that have 5 TVs in them, so we need a different color coax for every one of those, which we took the wiring system we were using and actually implemented in our coax also, so you can quickly have a home run line with your key TV from that point to every TV with a different color coax.
Which is genius, by the way.
Well, we tried, because that's probably one of the biggest frustrations. You've been doing this for a
Yes.
while, and that's TV, reception, coax, splitters that are mysteriously in a wall.
That you open it up and you have no idea what any of it's going to.
Absolutely, and that's what Key TV did for us, was we eliminated all splitters. There
Yep.
was no splitters in the roof anymore. So this again was a really big thing for us, and it's one of the things that Keystone and Montana talk about a lot.
Yeah, I love it. Anytime you can make maintenance and troubleshooting a unit easier is a huge win. Like you said, people don't understand the value until they have an issue, and as soon as they do, they'll be thankful.
And the one thing too is I want to stress, because Camping World was a big part of it. If you've never owned a Keystone and you're just buying one for the first time, Keystone's put a lot into what we call now do-it-yourself. There's do-it-yourself videos.
Yep.
The 2 things that we can't let customers work on is electrical and gas, just because of the legalities of it.
Sure.
But now, if a customer has a trim piece or something, he doesn't need to drag his Montana all the way to you. We have videos and processes where they can contact us. We'll ship them the piece of trim. We'll ship them the part while they're under warranty and have them do it themselves if they're willing.
That's awesome.
It's been a big benefit for us and a big benefit for you, that you don't have somebody taking a 42-foot fifth wheel all the way to your store for one piece of trim.
Well, yeah, and as you know, for a customer, they don't have to wait, because sometimes we get backed up and it takes time to get the unit in. So if they're able to have it shipped and do it on their own time, that's great for them.
Absolutely. So let's go over and talk about the Blade Air system a little bit.
All right.
We're up here to talk a little bit about the Blade AC system. So Blade was actually patented by Keystone. It's a combination of several parts, and here we're just going to talk about the ductwork, because
Okay.
we're up here into the roof section of the unit.
Yeah.
One of the big things that we found from past lives, again, you and I talked about in Montana, was the AC system and trying to keep the actual distance in the actual ductwork from not being crushed.
Okay.
What was it crushed from? Insulation, just time, settling.
Sure.
So part of the Blade system was this coupler. It seems so easy, but back in the old days, we'll say, you didn't have this coupler. So we would have a person take 2 pieces of foam, and they would quickly tape it.
Just butt tape them.
Butt
them up.
and hope it stays together. Well, in time, it would smile or it would dip, and then the air would leak out.
Sure.
Now you're air conditioning your entire attic. So we actually developed this coupler, which brings those 2 pieces together, allows you to have a surface to tape to, and then also gives you a rigid upright that allows this to never collapse. That was the main part. In conjunction with that, we worked with our vendors. You'll notice here, this radius, this actual what we would call a T, all radius cornered. So just having that little bit of radius versus straight across eliminates resistance, eliminates the cold air from heating up. We take this construction in the roof, and then down below we'll show you in conjunction with the rotaires, or what we call the outlets. And now our new Blade Pure system with the filter, we feel we've got the best air conditioning system for the consumer that's out there.
All right, Sam, so we are in the beautiful, I will say, finished Montana product. We kind of got to see, like I said, a little peek under the hood and some of the things people normally don't get to see. But how do we get from wiring to a finished product?
Well, as you saw, it starts all with the frame, then we go to the tanks, then we go to put the floor on. Took you up so you in detail the wiring, the Blade Pure system. Then from there, the walls get set, roof gets set. Now you've got your box. The slide outs that have followed the actual coach down the line, so that the sidewall color is the same, get married back up. Now you've got your coach and all of your wiring's there. So now we've got a whole army of people jumping in and out, hanging lights, screwing up fascia, as far as attaching it, the cabinet doors, installing all of those. And it's just step by step by step, decals being put on the outside. Okay. Every one of those steps, every one of those departments has a QC in it that's making sure those people are doing the work to their best of their ability.
Okay.
And informing them that it's not. So then all of those steps happen, and then here we are. We're in what we call the final finish area.
Okay.
This coach is not done. It's not been through our true white glove or through our PDI building. But
Okay.
we're what we call Station 1. This is the last station before they roll out the door.
Okay.
And that's what we're standing in right here. And I'd like to talk to you about some of the other things that actual feature-wise we've done in the last year
Yeah, please do.
based on customer feedback.
I love it.
And again, we're always trying to make the camping experience better. So one of the things we heard from customers were, we talked about Key TV.
Yes.
Frustrations with TV. I'm finally camping. My wife talked me into it, and I want to watch the Green Bay game. And the TV won't put the stereo sound. I can't hear it through anything. So one of our big concentrations for this model year was to take and put in a stereo system, a number one name brand. So we went with JBL.
Okay.
Well-known name.
Absolutely.
Then we put redundant cord attachments to it. What does that mean? So most would just have an HDMI. All of our TVs have HDMI, fiber optic, RCA cords. Under no circumstance should a customer ever complain again that they can't watch the Green Bay game, because all those address things, HDMI is going to be, you know, if it's basically not over the air, it's digitally provided, the RCA, all of that will help. So we've done that. We've married it with a system that's all 12 volt.
Okay.
Well, name brand JBL. Then if the guy really wants it to thump, we've actually installed a 12 volt full powered subwoofer.
Look at that.
So the customer has full control of that. If they don't want the noise or they don't want the thump, they have a full gain control where I can actually dial that up and down.
Okay.
And if they really want it to thump, because we have to send them out with kind of medium thump, we'll call it.
All right.
4 screws, they remove it. There's a gain control in the back, and boom, they can really make it thump as much as they want.
You can take that out and modify it, make it even louder than it is.
Yes. Yeah.
Interesting.
Because you've been to RV shows, we can't send this out that when little Jimmy runs in and turns the gain all the way up, that it starts blowing things. So
Yes.
there's always a little bit more we don't give people. But again, JBL name, all 12 volt.
That is amazing. That is really cool.
And the other thing that the JBL offered us was customers were telling us, we don't use the bedroom speakers. Okay, if you don't use bedroom speakers, what would you use? And they're like,
Yeah.
it'd be really cool if you added a bathroom speaker.
I like that.
And then if your actual unit was a 2-zone system. So my husband's out here watching the ball game. I decided to go up and get ready for dinner, and I want to listen to my podcast.
Yeah.
The JBL stereo has a My Zone feature, which will allow 2 zones, 2 sources. Sit out here, watch your TV. They go out, hold a button for 2 seconds, turns on the My Zone. The speaker that's in the bathroom can have a whole different source. They can listen to a podcast, listen to whatever music they want through their digital source. That is all built into the system.
That is really cool. I actually had no idea it could do that. I learned something today. Thank you.
Yep, absolutely. So that's just one of the things we did this year. The other thing, we talked a little bit about it on the actual mezzanine where we have the actual roof section of the Blade system. I'd like to take you up in the bedroom and show you a little more of the details about the Blade Pure system.
Yeah, let's check it out.
So we're up in the bedroom. We're going to talk a little bit more in detail about the Blade system and the Blade Pure system.
Yeah.
So Blade, one of the things that they did when they developed it and patented it was they used an actual, what they call a convection type air that's coming out.
Okay.
So as the air would normally, you'd have your blades and you just have like the adjustment open and close.
Yeah.
This works very much like a commercial vent where it's going to push the air out and almost like a fog so that it gets into the slide outs and gets into the area so you get rid of less hot and cold spots.
That makes sense.
So if we're doing the convection, how can we control by giving the customer more volume or less volume without having actual blades or things like you open and close? Because that's not good. If you go around and close all of your vents, you don't have enough open, it'll actually put back pressure on your AC and take the lifetime of your AC unit down.
Okay.
That's why you'll find in most Keystones, you don't have any that you can close and get yourself in trouble.
Okay.
But in this case, what the Blade system offers is they offer this scoop on the actual top side that you don't see. And as that's up into the hole and the customer actually turns that, that'll control the volume of air that's coming out of this.
Okay.
So the one trick is, how do I know if I can't see it? On the bottom side, you actually see here what actually says Blade on the actual housing or the plastic.
Yep.
If you want the most air, you point that name towards the AC unit. So
Okay.
here's the name.
Yep.
Here's the AC unit. If I wanted less, I actually spin it and put the name away towards, or actually away from the AC unit, and you have less.
Okay.
So that was the Blade system, and that's the way it works great. So how do we amp it up? So this last year, we actually took and made the Blade Pure system. And what that allows a customer to do was the first time ever in the RV industry, they have a filtered AC system. and it is a residential filter.
Yeah.
That's a MERV 9 1-inch thick filter, 12 by 12. You can buy them anywhere at any time.
That is great.
So before, as you know, you've been around for quite a while, you just had like a foam piece that was, I don't know what kind of foam it was.
You had to kind of wash it and try to dry it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Tear.
So what this allowed us to do was you have full MERV 9 filtered air, but then people said, well, I lost the whisper quiet system, right? You've talked about that for years.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So what they actually did for us, Air Excel, in the Coleman Mach series, they went to what they call a Q series. They spent the last 2 years developing a super quiet air conditioner, so you no longer have to mask a very loud air conditioner with quiet cool.
That is wonderful.
So it gives you all these benefits. In all Montanas, you always have Q series ACs, power saver ACs, which means that you could run all 3 ACs on 50 amp service if you installed a third one.
Okay.
And we always have a heat pump in the actual living room. So all of those are way more than any other air conditioner system in the industry. Standard features, all Montana. The only thing that's not standard is the third air conditioner is optional.
Sure.
But we put them on every unit and you get all of these benefits.
Sam, that is incredible. I had no idea that it was that much quieter, that they did that specifically for you guys too. And the filter, I'd never taken it out. Like you said, I've done the old ones, but that looks just like my furnace filter.
And the performance and the increased CFMs or cubic foot of air that we're getting out of this system, by just taking the air here versus sucking it in from the sides and then trying to cool it, the performance is the best numbers we've ever seen.
That is incredible. Well, Sam, thank you so much. Hopefully everyone watching got a little bit of extra knowledge, got to kind of, like I say, take a peek under the hood, see some of the things they don't normally get to see. And if nothing else, I learned a few things today. So I thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Appreciate your time.
Can't wait to see you again.
Sounds good.